Hello everyone and welcome back to another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous guide video. Today we are going to be covering the in defense on unfair mode. Let me tell you in advance, this was an absolute nightmare. It took me 8.5 hours to finally get this done. The good thing about it is it's not required. If you fail it, nothing bad happens narratively as far as I've been told. You do miss out on a couple of nice rewards. Well, a reward. I won't spoil what it is, but let me tell you that it probably isn't worth the pain that you may have to go through to finally get this done. Let me add one more thing. Even if you do follow this guide to the letter, there is a good chance that you will still fail several times in a row because there is so much RNG involved in this fight, as I mentioned earlier. But having said that, it does increase your chance of succeeding considerably. So with that, we're going to jump right into the action. So here I'm just going to talk briefly about my character loadouts. My main character is a paladin, doesn't really have anything important to contribute to this fight. So the first character that's going to be contributing significantly here is Nenyo, level 3 wizard. Make sure you get Create Pit, definitely super important spell, level 3 spell for her. Mirror Image, not really that important. Level 2 spell, make sure you have Mage Armor. I don't know how much of a difference this makes, but you'll see why I use this. Color Spray can also help if things get hairy, but really Mage Armor, maybe Enlarged Person are the only two that I would really recommend here. And level 1, none of them really make any significant difference. Doggo doesn't really do anything. Ember, she doesn't participate in this fight, so don't worry about her. She doesn't really have anything she can contribute significantly here. Now, Woljif, he plays a massive role in this fight. Level 0 spells, nothing really important here. Level 1 spells, you need grease. Grease, 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 and grease. The only other thing I would potentially recommend is Color Spray. That can help for the last bit of the fight, but really I would just go with 4 greases here, just to be absolutely certain you don't run out. And you can even pick up scrolls, which I did as well. So, okay, that's done with her. Now, Camellia, I have her as a shaman. So, for her level 0 spells, nothing really important here. Level 1 spells, Bless for sure, and Entangle, and Grow Person, right? Enlarge Person is the only meta magic slot thing I have here. So, spirit magic slot, I should say. Bless, super important. Entangle, also very important. And level 2, right, so she doesn't have much option for the spirit slot. Bull Strength works there. But I would take Barkskin and Sickening Entanglement. You can maybe take 2 Sickening Entanglements, but I would not take less than 1, definitely. You need this. You absolutely need this, and you're going to be refreshing this in the fight as well. Sela is another one of our participants, but she doesn't really have anything to really bring along here. She can use whichever of these she wants to. Lan is also coming along here. He's just the damage dealer. So magic weapon, and then I picked Divine Favor because it does damage. You could pick up Shield of Faith, but I would just go with this because he's a damage bot. In terms of gear, loadouts, everybody, let me just show you this. Give everybody a ranged weapon, even if they're not a ranged character. So ranged weapon, she's not in the fight. Everyone, just load them up with whatever ranged weapons you have. Obviously Lan. So by this point in the game, you should have Finian the Talking Weapon. If you don't, well, it's going to be rougher. But if you do, I would recommend giving it to Lan. Just load him up with the best damage stuff that you can. Everyone else is going to be contributing in a pretty minor way. Other things to keep in mind here are the scrolls. So I made a mistake and bought bought a Scroll of Blur, but unfortunately you cannot buff NPCs with this, so that was a bit of a mistake. Don't do that. Scroll of Obsidian Flow. Absolutely buy at least one of these. It can be the difference between a victory and a loss. It's not the most important one, but it definitely helps a lot if you have at least one. Scroll of Web, get, at least 2, at the very least 2, potentially more. I put them all on Nenyo, so Obsidian Flow and Web on Nenyo. Woljif, he has a Scroll of Color Spray and 2 Scrolls of Grease, just in case. And Scroll of Cat's Grace as well, to buff. She has a Scroll of Bear's Endurance to buff Irabeth, and a Scroll of Protection from Evil, and a Scroll of Cure Light Wounds. The Cure Light Wounds not really necessary for this fight. Scroll of Bless Weapon, which you're going to give to Lan when the last boss comes along. You can have 1 or 2 of these, and then Lan doesn't really have any scrolls, and my main character is a bit of an idiot, so he doesn't have any scrolls. In terms of other gear, loadout, nothing else is really super important. But that's basically it for the loadout going into the thing. Going into the fight, I didn't use any potions, any other consumables besides those scrolls. And we'll talk about them individually when we get into the fight. So first thing you want to do is make sure your party is selected correctly. You want to switch out Ember for Nenyo. You should have Nenyo by this point. She's basically forced on you. That's another story. Getting her took me about 6 hours, that one encounter, because I was not expecting that either. That was absolutely brutal. Okay, first thing you want to do, move your party over to where I'm moving them right now, behind the barricade. You definitely want to make use of the friendly NPCs here. Make sure stop is on so they don't run into combat. Make sure they're all equipped with ranged weapons. And the reason you move them over here is because you're going to be attacking. So you're going to be force attacking some of the enemies right now. Make sure all the abilities that reduce their chance to hit are turned off. Cast Grease at the entrance right here. Make sure it doesn't hit your own guys. And then with Camellia, make sure you cast Sickening Entanglement here. Make sure it also does not overlap with your defenders, so they are not affected by it. By this time, the first set of Arsonist cultists should have shown up, and you absolutely need to focus fire them with everyone that you have. Make sure you take them down ASAP. If the barrier that you're defending goes down, right, if Tavern Defenses drops from 12 to 11 while those guys are shooting at you, and it is the barrier on your side, you just reload the game. So now you can see here, right, the Grease is doing its work, the Sickening Entanglement is doing its work, and now you can see I'm moving my entire party up. And there's a good reason why I'm doing this. Basically what you're doing is you're defending, you're trying to prevent those cultists from doing their damage, because they are the biggest problem in this fight by far. The Arsonists are just, they're nuts. So you have to move your whole party up here, and there's a good reason I'm moving my whole party. I tried several iterations where I moved just 3 of them, but it didn't work. Okay, so this is phase 2. And you can see I'm down to 9 Tavern Defenses already. Now up here, what you want to do, you want to drop another Grease right where I'm dropping it, because that's where the enemies spawn. And now you want to use Nenyo's Scroll of Web, and you want to drop it in the same place. So right when they spawn, there's a good chance they'll freeze there, and if they don't, there's a chance they'll fall over. And here, I'm also using Obsidian Flow, basically in the same place, to damage anyone that spawns right there. So here I'm having a little bit of a brain fart. Keep in mind I'd been at this for about 8.5 hours, so I was on the edge of delirium. So now you can see Camellia is casting Entangle. You cast Entangle there as well, so if they don't get webbed, if they don't fall down, they will get slowed. So you can see I made a bit of a mistake here with the Obsidian Flow and the Entangle. The edge kind of clips my defenders up here, and you will see a bit later on that Woljif actually gets stuck up here. Now, after you do all that, you want to move Camellia you want to move Woljif, and you want to move Nenyo back down to the front line, because they do serve a purpose down there. And you want to keep Lan, and you want to keep your main character, and you want to keep Sela up here firing down, making sure to focus on the arsonists. So you can see they're just taking pot shots at these guys, shooting. Absolutely make sure, I mentioned this once before, but absolutely make sure you turn off Lan's ability that forces him within 30 feet, because if it is on, he cannot hit some of the enemies when they get towards the center there. Now, here's one little mistake I made. You see that enemy that's beating down the NPCs at the front gate? What you typically want to do there is with Nenyo, you want to create a pit underneath that specific NPC, because it does a lot of damage. It can wipe out your entire front line. You can see it's killed like 3 of my dudes right here. So you want to cast a pit underneath it, and then it goes down way faster. So this is actually looking like a bad attempt, honestly, because in most of my other previous attempts, I had a really strong front line by the time the boss came. Okay, cast Bless over there, because it'll hit the guys who are firing up there, and now you want to start buffing, because once that big enemy goes down, you want to start buffing. So I'm just dropping all my buffs. I cast Bark Skin on Irabeth. I'm casting Mage Armor on Irabeth, casting Bear's Endurance, casting Cat's Grace on Irabeth. I'm basically casting every single buff I can. Protection from my Scroll of Protection from Evil. And so, okay, now the things have expired. That's the other reason you want to keep these guys down here. And this is a mistake I made. This was the only mistake I made, was Nenyo she got killed. She died. Because she was too close, she got attack of opportunity. So I was like, okay, I'm screwed, but I'm just going to play it out, because my barrier did not go down this time, so I'm like, I'm just going to play it out. You want to cast Grease again. That is the most important spell you can cast. And in addition to Grease, you can refresh the entangling, Sickening Entanglement. You can refresh it over here, right, with the Divine Bond. You can refresh it and cast it again right here, so it slows everyone down. So once Grease and Sickening Entanglement are down, you are in good shape again. Enlarge Person her. I know it lowers her defense, but increases her attack, and she really needs the attack a lot. Just buff her up as much as you can. Okay, now this is phase 3 right now. Boss comes through, you can skip the cutscene by pressing enter. And this is the best state I've been in, right? 9 out of 12 defenses left. Just keep my guys up there, and now just, yeah, you're dependent. Irabeth, it's up to Irabeth to do the rest. Now, this can potentially go wrong, right? So what can happen here is the boss can just bypass Irabeth and go straight up the stairs. If that happens, keep your guy standing there, because he typically pats back and forth on the left side, so he doesn't make it all the way over to the right side. For some reason, he gets a bit bugged out, and you can just take shots at him, but that's a really bad state to be in, because then you're essentially stuck. Irabeth can't help, and you're just going to have to pray that your guys can take him down. So, okay, you can see here, right, I'm panicking. The boss has fallen down, which is very, very fortunate for me. Make sure you target, if any of the arsonists come through, they are your primary targets, because if the barrier goes down, you're in a lot of trouble. You're in a world of hurt. But now the last set of arsonists is down, so now you can focus on the boss, focus on the boss, focus on the boss, and this is RNG, right? So the boss is, because all these guys, all the NPCs, the good NPCs are kind of like, they're melee and they don't move, right? You see Irabeth is just standing there until it walks right up to her, then she gets involved. But by that time, it's already at half. Lan did a lot of the damage with his, because I blessed his weapon, right? So now with Woljif, I'm trying to cast Color Spray. Is it gonna work? It doesn't work. Occasionally it works. When it works, it lasts for a very short time, but it does a lot of damage. It didn't work. He died before that, thankfully. And now it's just up to you to defend the tavern. So you can see here, these are the enemies. They start bypassing Irabeth and running up the stairs. Thankfully, Sela's up here. She's a tank, so I switch her to tank form, move her in the way, and then just have Lan and my main character, Razor Fiend, taking shots at her, and my guys on the ground taking shots, not at her, but at the Dretch that runs up here. 2 Dretch actually make it up, and I'm just praying. Sela, come on, you can do it. There, Lan. His weapon, right, it's imbued with good, so he does a lot of damage to these evil enemies. They don't have any damage reduction again. Well, not. He doesn't do extra damage, he just doesn't have the damage reduction apply to him. One other thing I will say is loot the enemies. That is a mistake I made. I did not loot the enemies, so if you don't loot them after this fight is over, all the bodies disappear, and that is hundreds, if not thousands of gold worth of loot that you're giving up. Like, if you go outside after the fight, this is a bit of a spoiler, I'm just going to tell you because it's important. If you go outside after the fight, there's like a cart with a bunch of bodies on it, and there's like 1,000 gold in it, and like 50 gold worth of items. Basically nothing. The bodies on the ground drop hundreds, if not thousands of gold worth of stuff right there. And there you can see I did it. So the cultists are by far, the arsonists are by far your biggest priority. Make sure you defend that barrier to the death, right? You defend it to the death. Because if that side goes down and you don't get super lucky, you're done. And that's basically it. That's all I can tell you guys. And so the big takeaways here: make use of grease, make use of all your buffs, make use of entanglement and obsidian flow and web. So you can see where I place them in the video. So this is the actual reward for completing it, and it's terrible. I'll tell you right now, it is a piece of garbage. Unless I'm seriously missing something, feel free to leave a comment down below if I'm wrong, as I often am. Thank you for watching, guys. You know, I really hope this helps you out. But yeah, that took 8.5 full hours for me to do, going in blind and unprepared. And that's going to be it for me, boys and girls. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. And don't forget to hit that bell notification on your way out. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Razor Fiend, signing out.